Hello, everybody, and welcome. I am joined by none other than Amedeo Castorino for another wonderful track guide video that we're doing here today. Thank you very much for joining me today, Amedeo. How are you doing, sir?
It's everything looking very good, so excited for another track guide tonight.
Yeah, excited for another track guide tonight. I apologize. I'm going to get you situated and centered on screen now and get you a little bit smaller than normal. I apologize. You're looking a
No
little
worries.
big on screen. You're front and center, live on camera. How are you doing, sir? It's been a wonderful evening here for us in the U.S. of A, and hopefully it's a good day for you as well, sir.
Yeah, it's everything good also here in Europe, so we're looking good for this track guide in Europe track also in UK, Brands. And now for today we took, as you saw in the previous live streaming, we took a different car every time, so this time it's time for the BMW M4.
Yeah, BMW M4. Now, Amedeo, I got some questions I want to ask for you right off the bat. What do you say to people that say, well, Amedeo, I'm not driving the BMW M4. Can they still take this track guide and apply it to any GT4 car? Or is this very specific to the BMW?
No, they can take for every GT4 if there is something very specific, I will say, but the only specific thing can be about the gears. Also because there we don't have big curbs to take, so the line is pretty much the same for every GT4. So like 90% of the advice you can take even if you have a different car.
Okay, awesome. Without any further ado, walk us through a lap of Brands Hatch, Amedeo. Show us how it's done, sir.
So yeah, we start from turn one. Um, It's a very tough corner because you have to brake a little bit on the middle, as you can see. And for a brake reference, it's tough as well because it's not very precise. You can take the white brake marker on the left of the track. Basically, it's this white marker that is the second one that you find. This is the first one. This is the last one. Basically, you brake just before this second brake marker, and you want to brake also a bit on the middle, not that far on the left of the track, because then it will be hard to take the inside line. Also because this corner is very tough because you have a lot of camber, and also the road is going very downhill after that moment. So if you are wide, you will not complete the corner and you will go very wide into the gravel. So you want to take the apex there very soon, stay very tight from the first moment, and you make this corner in fourth gear with this car. But I think with every GT4 is fourth gear. And you want also to pinch a little bit the inside curve because that is helping to rotate the car faster. And basically, in the middle of the corner, you are very tight before the big downhill, because if you are like half a car more on the left there, like your line is completely compromised. So the advice here is maybe brake more careful, brake a lot sooner and more smooth, but make sure to take the apex, because if you overshoot turn one, you will lose a lot of time on the exit. So make sure to take the apex. Maybe you can brake like there. You can take also the brake reference marker as a braking zone, so like 10 meters before that what I made for be safe. Braking 100% in the first phase, and you turn in about like only 10 degrees for a lot of moments, so you want to stay in the middle of the track for most of the time. And then like you start to turn in again after this white line on the middle of the track. I'll show you better. Basically from that moment after this line, you want to aim more in the inside curb.
Okay.
Yeah, because you see that I'm still on the middle of track, and there after that white line, I'm starting to turn more, especially when I'm near to this orange. I don't know how to call it. This orange finger on the guardrail.
Yeah.
It's the last phase of the turn in when you also release completely the brake, or mostly completely the brakes, and then you can start to go on throttle when you see this Audi Sport marker. You can basically
Okay.
start to go on throttle if your lane is perfect like that you are very on the inside. Maybe anyway, just the reference, don't go on throttle before this Audi marker, just when you are near to it or when you pass it.
Okay, so in summary, you kind of want to be braking not in a straight line, but having the wheel kind of turned like at 10 degrees, like you said, towards the outside line, braking about 10 meters right at the brake marker board, turn in
Exactly.
again at the orange marker that we can see on the K rails here.
Yeah.
And then getting on throttle again at the Audi sports sign. But that's only if
Exactly.
your line is perfect. And let me ask you a silly question, Amedeo. I've seen a lot of drivers who hug the right side pit lane and extend that braking zone as if they're about to run off track. What's the difference between staying to the far right of the track during the braking zone and going across it to the left, or staying out to the left and turning in a little bit? I mean, obviously you have your preference, but is it safe to touch the curb on the right? Someone's asking as well. Of course, I believe that's the point, right?
Yeah, if with the GT4 it's very safe to touch the inside curb because it doesn't unsettle the car much, as you can see. Like the car is always very stable, it's just under C, as you can see, and very on the limit to the gravel. Yeah, you also don't want to turn in too early, because if you turn in too early, the problem is that you will touch the curb around there, and maybe you can touch also the grass. So if you go too much on the inside, of course, like the car can jump a little bit, and anyway, like when you are on the grass, you will not have a lot of grip, of course. So I mean, it's not mandatory to touch the curb, but it's a reference. Like you want to aim to touch a little bit this inside curb. So even if you go like a bit more on the left, it's not a problem. The problem is if you go like half a meter more on the left, because your line is completely compromised. Because as you see, with a very tighter line there, I anyway finish it very in the outside, because when the track is starting to go in this downhill, like the front of the car is like floating a little bit, it's not responding well, so the car is basically going straight. As you can see, like I'm aiming completely to the gravel in this moment because the car is not turning at all. I
But you're
covered your
fully
question
on
or...
throttle still. So, absolutely.
Yeah.
You covered the question very well. And so you're still on throttle. And like you said, you're pointing out towards the gravel. The car's understeering a little bit.
Yeah.
Now, where do you decide when the point of no return is? Is it at the Audi sport marker?
Yeah, basically. But anyway, also in this moment, like you can see that I was going on throttle, but I'm hesitating a lot. I'm also touching again a little bit the brake, because you want to be very sure that you will not go wide in the next 10 meters, because if you go wide, you will touch the gravel and losing a lot of time. So you can take it as a throttle reference. But if you see that you are going too wide, as I saw in that lap, you can also hesitate a little bit. It's always better to hesitate sooner than later, because if you have to lift like there in this moment, you will lose a lot more time, because you lose all the momentum if you lift in this moment. So always like take a bit of margin before, and so you will not find yourself in trouble later.
Completely
Basically.
understood. Thank you very much for that thorough explanation of turn one. And how does this set you up towards turn two?
Yeah, so we go for turn two. Also, there you can use all the track. Also, if you pinch a little bit the gravel, it's not a big problem, but just with two tires, because if you go more on the left, of course, you will lose a lot of time. For turn two, of course, you use all the tracks, so you stay all on the left. And as a brake reference, you can take this whiteboard, but you like have to brake 20 meters before it, so it's not really precise. But you can take anyway. I take it, but also the end of this green carpet. It's like between this green carpet and the white meter board. And you can take also the orange on the left if you prefer. But yeah, basically it's 10 meters before it. Also, with this car, you downshift only to third gear, and this is not for all GT4. Some GT4 maybe should need second gear, but I recommend third gear, because if you downshift to second, you will very easily lock up the rear with this car because you're locking the differential that is not that good as the GT3, the differential on the GT4s. And also the traction will be tough because if you go on second gear, when you upshift on third gear in the middle of the traction, the car like the traction is not that smooth when you shifting the gear with the GT4s because the shifting time is not that fast as GT3. So like you have like a moment 1/10 where you are not going on throttle because the car is shifting the gear, and when the gear is shifted, you have again the torque on your rear tires, so you can have a bit of snap oversteer if you upshift in the middle of the traction. So that's why I recommend always with the GT4 to try to stay in the higher gear as possible while you are doing a corner, basically.
Stay in the highest gear possible during the
Yeah,
corner to prevent the car from getting unsettled because of
yeah,
the
with the
electronic
GT4.
control.
You can apply this thing with every GT4, and basically in every corner you want to stay higher as possible in terms of gear. Anyway, talking about this corner, you brake 100% again, like you want to brake very strong when your steering wheel is completely straight like that. Also, again, you start to aim very soon to the apex because the GT4 doesn't have much grip as GT3, so you want always to aim to the apex a bit sooner than what a GT3 do. Then I start to trail braking. I'm not braking anymore 100% for don't lock up the tires. And then I'm also turning very aggressively because this car have a lot of understeer, so I want to force the rotation on that car. So like don't worry to be very aggressive with the steering wheel input, like the car will be not unsettled, very luckily. So you want to stay very wide. I'm still braking for try to make the car rotate faster because I'm applying some energy on the front tires, so the car will rotate faster. And for all this corner, you stay very, very tight to the inside. And on third gear, of course, you can go, as you can see, very aggressively on throttle. Now I lost a bit of traction by going that aggressively on throttle, like I have to do some correction. But anyway, you can go like at least at 50% directly if you are on third gear because you have on very low RPM, so it doesn't have a lot of torque in that moment from the car. I will show also by the chase cam the trajectory of this corner. You use all the track there, start to aim on the inside. As a reference, you can take this curve. Basically, when you don't see it anymore, you start to turn in.
Okay.
And you aim to stay very, very tight. Like, you don't want to touch the curb, but stay near as possible to it. Basically, the perfect line is stay with the right tires over the white line. And then as a reference for going on throttle, basically is the middle of the corner. Also depends about your line, if you are more wide, more on the inside, your angle of the car. There is not also a clear reference for going on throttle, so you just need to feel it a little bit.
Can we see this from the top down, Amedeo, if possible? Just to see the way that you enter the corner in and out?
Is by this camera or which one?
For the F7 camera from the free camera?
You want to see from that?
Yes, please. Thank you so much.
Yep. So from the starting of the corner. Okay, you want to stay very, very tight, very tight. Then you go. Also, a thing is, it's a little bit of double apex corner because, as you can see,
you drift out just a little bit, right?
Yeah, the first entry, yeah, it's very tight. I'm very near to the inside curve. Then on the middle of the corner, as like now, I'm a bit more wider, and then on the throttle phase, I'm closing again my line. So it's like stay tight, go a little bit wider, and then tight again. So it's a bit of V line. You are maximize your entry speed and your exit speed, so the traction will be a bit easier because your car is more straight. but you are losing a bit of speed on the middle of the corner. But in this corner is paying out to do more like that because the exit is very tough in this corner. So you want to do a bit of V-line. It's helping a little bit.
Yes, sir.
And yeah, that's basically the corner. Also on the exit, you want to use as much track as possible. Also because outside of the curb, these like 20 centimeters are pretty much asphalt, so you don't lose much of grip. Like the grass start from here, you can see this small line that is the difference from this kind of asphalt and the grass. And yeah, that's pretty much it about this corner, we'll say, if there is no question.
No, that seems very good. At what point are you opening the wheel up? Like you said, around the halfway point, exiting the corner, getting on throttle, that's when you're opening the wheel back up to be pointed in a straight line?
Yeah, basically, yeah. Just in the last phase, because also in this lap I was counter steering because I went also very aggressively on throttle, but this is maybe hard to do for rookies because there I went very aggressively on throttle, so I make rotate the car with an oversteer on throttle. So then but anyway, it's hard to give a reference point in this corner about steering wheel and throttle application because it all depends about your line and your angle. Because if it's just tiny different in this corner, like it's not true anymore. So
Yeah.
it's better maybe to don't do it, give it, because there is a clear reference.
Fair enough. I think we're ready to go through the Graham Hill Bend, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't know the name of that corner. I will call it turn 3 or 4. I don't know. This is very tough also because you never brake completely straight in this corner. You want to aim to this curb for have the widest line as possible. So I'm trying to brake as straight as possible, and also you want to brake a bit smooth, like I'm braking 80%, I'm not hitting the 100%, because I want to have still a bit of agility on the front of the car, because I have to turn in very quickly there on the left. So if I brake too much, I don't have a lot of responsive front. You do third gear again also for that corner, and yeah, you want to aim as much as possible to this curb, but it's very easy to touch also the grass on the right, so be careful to don't exaggerate it to go on the right, too much on the right. As a turning in reference, you can take it basically like 5 meters later than the start of this curve. Basically, I mean, when the curve starts, you can start to turn in very slightly, like about 10-15 degrees. And then you want to carrying the brakes as long as possible because you want to make the car rotate, because the GT4 are very understeery cars, so you always want to put a lot of braking into the corner for make the car rotate faster. As you can see, I'm still 50%, 30%, 20%, 20%, sorry. I speak a bit of Italian for confusion. And yeah, also on the inside, you aim to the curb and to this, I don't know the name of this thing, but I think you get it.
The pylon, yes.
Yeah, exactly. But make sure to don't go over the curb. Like I was quite on the limit in that lap, because if you go over with the completely the full tire, the car will have like a jump because there are different hay. As you can see, this curb is not completely flat there. So if you go a little bit more on the grass on the inside, you will lose a bit of time because the car is jumping a little bit. So you lose a bit of momentum there. So I was quite on the limit in that lap, as you can see, because like 1 centimeters more on the left, I will have that issue. So yeah, the perfect line is don't hit these. I already forgot the name of that. These orange.
The orange
thing.
cones or pylons, yeah.
Cones. Yeah, the cones. So yeah, tighter as possible without touching it. I mean, I Probably, I don't know. There is one console that is missing probably. Because it's on the inside. I don't remember where is it, but yeah, you want to stay tighter as possible on the curb without going on the grass, basically. And also, it's very important to have a good exit out of this corner because you have a small straight after that. So brake very early for going on throttle very soon. So it's a slow entry for have a fast exit there.
Okay.
For a reference of going on throttle is at the first cones, you are starting to go on throttle if you are tighter as that. But for sure you want to go on throttle at least before the second cone. That's 100% sure. I'm still 50%. I'm managing a bit the throttle. I'm still managing, and I'm going full throttle just on the last moment because you are still turning a lot in this corner, and you are on high RPM, so you have a lot of torque there. So until you don't have your steering wheel almost straight, you can't go on throttle. Like I'm still steering a lot, so I'm waiting to go completely full throttle. Now that I go full throttle, so I can um, go more straight with the steering wheel. And since I went on throttle when I'm still turning like 90 degrees in that moment, and then just after I went straight with my steering wheel, I also have a little bit of oversteer, so that's why you have to wait a little bit more. Also, there you can use a lot of track. Like the limit is touching the curve with your left tires, and the lap is valid. So you want to use as much track as possible. Also because it's like the asphalt. This part, like until you are in this part of the grass where you see a lot of brown,
It's
it's
still
basically
asphalt there.
yeah, it's basically felt as a asphalt like that.
And it
Mm,
seems like this is a trend that has been repeated at least through the past two corners that we've talked about,
yeah,
entry and exit, where Brands Hatch, the runoff for a couple of these areas is still asphalt. Are the
yeah.
curbs still the same as well? That if you go off of the curb, it'll really unsettle the car? Or are those flat, smooth curbs?
No, no, this one is a very flat and smooth curve, so there is no issue on going over that.
Okay.
And yeah, also if you go more wide, like you will also gain time, but it's track limits, so you can't do it, of course.
If only we could, right?
Yeah, exactly. So we can go to the next corner. Very tough corner because again it's very important to maximize the exit in this corner because we will have a kinda long straight after that corner, so we want to maximize as much as possible the exit. As a braking reference, you take the white board on the right. You brake when you are basically in the same place of it. Also, important thing, don't brake on the middle of the track in that corner, but stay as much as possible on the right for the first phase. And on the first phase, you brake 100%. You stay much on the right because you want to prepare the exit. Then you start to turn in, basically when you can take two reference
Amedeo, we have
for
one question. I'm sorry.
yeah
Can we go back to
yeah
the previous corner and play it at
sure.
full speed for reference? Thank you very much for the raid, Sovin. Appreciate that. 35 people coming in. Appreciate that so much. Wow, that looks really aggressive, Amedeo. And you're
Is
not
it?
braking in a straight line. Again, you're really just using the wheel turned at that 10-degree mark and really
Yeah.
riding on the brakes the entire time. And just, is that the limit for the braking and getting the car to rotate is around 10 degrees for safety's sake? Or is that the
Yeah.
esports level?
Probably it's a bit esports level, but anyway, that's why I'm never braking 100% in this corner because you are never brake straight. So you want to brake very, very smooth. So the advice is always brake smooth. Maybe if you are struggling, start to brake a bit sooner, but because it's very important also to carry the brake until the last moment, therefore make the car rotate faster.
Okay. Thank you very much for explaining that. And thank you very much for going back one more corner here at Brands Hatch to give us this track guide video. And of course, we'll do another full hot lap where you'll just go ahead and give us the play-by-play at the very end. But I think we can go ahead and move on to the next corner like you were just saying. I apologize for cutting you off.
Yeah, no worries, wait. So we go to the next corner, and I was saying that as a reference for turn in, because like the turning point is like there in that moment, because before I was not completely straight, but we can't call it turning because I was like on 5 degrees, and this is the real turning point. And basically it's at the start of this curve, basically you start to turn in and third gear again, and also you want to steer about 90 degrees in that corner, and trail braking a lot because I'm still on the brakes about 10%. And there you want also to stay tight in that moment when basically this double curb end is when you want to stay tight. I will show you. As you can see in the first phase the curb is like double, and when the double curb ends about there is when you want to stay more tighter. You never stay very tight because you want to carry the momentum. You aim to stay tight just on the exit, before the exit, basically, because you want to use more track as possible there. So you want to stay tight because then you will have understeer, because you have also a bit of camber on these corners. So it's very easy to go wide on the exit. So that's why you stay very wide on the first entry, for then close very late the corner, like on the middle of the corner I'm going very on the inside. And then you can take also as a reference point, basically the end of the double curve is always also the same reference for stay tight and going on throttle. And maybe wait a bit more to go on throttle, because if your line is a bit bad and you go on throttle too soon, you will go very wide, because I will show you that also in that lap I was a bit less on the limit maybe, but I was very on the curb on the right. So if you go a bit more, you will exit on the grass and you will lose time, because there is a bit of jump there if you go wide on the grass. So maybe wait a bit more there for going off throttle, but just make sure to stay very tight here. And maybe as a reference, you can going off throttle only now. So the end of this big curve, and you go on throttle now, maybe if you're struggling, like you go only about 10% sooner, not aggressively as I'm doing about 50%, 70%, but you wait to go on throttle that aggressively maybe only in that moment for make sure, because if you go on throttle too soon and you run wide and you will lift the throttle later, you will lose all the momentum that you have, so you will lose a lot of time on that state. So make sure to have a clean exit there, and you will gain a lot of time for sure in this straight.
Again, you're highlighting slow in, fast out. You're really wanting to get to a late apex here. You're wanting to get on throttle as soon as possible, but it's better to hesitate than to get on it too soon because of the track limits violations that you can incur, as well as you don't want to exit out onto the grass because of there being a big bump there on exit, which will really disturb your run down to this straight, right?
Exactly. Probably also I have an example in another of my laps that I ran it wide in that corner because it happened. Yeah, exactly. That is what can happen, and you start to jump like that.
That looks like fun.
Yeah.
How many tenths do you think you lost just from that jump?
Probably around 2 tenths and a half. So it's better maybe to lose 1/10 about waiting a bit more to go on throttle, but don't go like that also, because if you go even more, you will jump even more, so you will lose more. So yeah, that's why you have to wait to go on throttle, because I will show from the POV. Like, I mean, that you see, I was struggling a lot, and then you start to jump, and you lose a lot of time. So that's why you need to have a very clean exit there.
And that's why you're not showing us that lap. You're showing us this lap, right?
Exactly. Yeah, it's also not an easy track for sure, this one, because it's very small track. So that's why my advice is take it easy and be focused on doing the right line and don't overdrive, because you will lose more by overdriving.
Fair enough. Great advice, Amedeo. Thank you very much.
And yeah, it's about everything about this corner. We have a nice and lovely state. There is not much to say in this state, I think. Just go flat out.
I like that.
And
Nice and easy.
yeah. Then we have a very long, fast right corner that I don't know the name because I'm not a professional driver, so I don't remember the name of the corner on Brands Hatch. As a
Hawthorn
reference,
Bend.
too complicated. For reference, there it's very tough. You can take this orange on the right, but I don't like it because you have basically to look completely on the right and you don't see it because now you see it, but when you have to brake, you didn't see it anymore. So for me, I use this white marker. It's like not precise, but I mean, I'm like saying I'm braking a bit before it, and this is my reference. I'm not have a very precise reference, but just think that it's a bit later than this white marker and a bit sooner than this one. So it's basically on the middle of the two marker that you have to brake there.
Okay.
Downshift to third gear there, braking harder as possible on the first phase. Then starting to releasing the brakes, but try to keep a bit of brake into the corner, about 30-40%, so the car will rotate faster. And again, stay very tight to the inside because the car will have a lot of understeer when you will go on throttle, so aim very soon to the apex. And for turn in, you take this white meter board, you can take as a reference, like I'm starting to turn in like there. And then also when you are pretty much on the inside of the corner and you are braking with less power, you can turn the wheel a bit more because basically when you are turning more, you are putting more energy on the front tires. When you are braking more, you are putting more energy on the front tires. So more you are steering and more you start to release the brakes because if you put too much energy, you probably lock up the front tires. So you want to stay on the limit but not go over the limit. So like in that moment, if I'm steering like that with 100% brakes, I will probably lock up the front tires because they can't afford that much load.
Right. Like drive like you have a string attached to the brake pedal and to the steering wheel at the same time.
Yeah.
If you turn too much and you apply the brake too much, the string is going to snap.
Exactly. So that's a very good advice. And yeah, you can also touch a little bit the curb. It's not that ideal to touch it because the car will unsettle a little bit, but it's not the end of the world. But if you don't touch it, it's better actually. For going on throttle, it's tough, but for sure it's after this orange marker. It's a little bit after that, not much. Just you have basically to wait about half a second, 1 second maximum later than you overtake the orange marker. You can go on throttle if your line is good and your angle is good. So it's always tough to predict when going on throttle. You need to feel it. Like me, I went on throttle a bit too soon, so I lifted again because I went on throttle too soon and I was going to understeer. And always better to lift as soon as possible, not too late, because you will lose all the momentum. Also, you can use, even if you go with 2 tires on the grass there, this time is real grass, but you don't lose too much. So don't worry if you are going with the left tires on the grass. In that moment, you will not lose much. Like I'm going a little bit, but even if you go a bit more on the grass on the left, it's not the end of the world there.
Okay.
And also the track limits is only if you go with 4 tires on the grass, but you will lose also time, so it's not worth it. And yeah, so you can use all the track guys on the exit of this corner, all the curb, even the grass if you need. And yeah, that's it about this corner if there are no questions. Maybe I will show you full speed.
Thank you.
Then next corner, again, we don't have a quite precise marker because it's a bit sooner than the last white marker and a bit sooner of the orange marker on the left on the guardrail. So yeah, it's always in this track in the middle between the first and the second marker, unfortunately. You brake 100%, but you release very quickly the brakes. Like you don't want to brake 100% for a lot because you want to carrying a good momentum in this corner, so don't slow down too much the car, and also have a good agility on the front of the car. And also you aim to turn in very early because you want to cut on the inside. Like on the white marker, you start to turn in there. And also, as you can see, you cut completely on the inside.
Oh, wow.
This is not a track limit. It's track limits if all the tires are on the grass. If the left tires are touching the curb, the lap is valid. So you want to, like, yeah, stay tighter as possible and use also all the track as possible on the left, as you can see. Stay on the limit about touching the gravel for the exit. And for throttle reference also, we take when basically a bit before touching the curb, you want to go on throttle. If you are tighter like that, you can go on throttle that soon. Or maybe like you can go throttle just when you are over it as a reference. But yeah, you want to go on throttle as soon as possible, and the key there is just carrying the momentum much as possible. Don't slow down the car too much. And there you can use all the track. Like the limit is the gravel there, so use as much as you can. And stay always on third gear. Try to don't downshift with every GT4 there because it will unsettle the car a little bit and you want a lot of stability there. So try to don't downshift if you can.
We do have a question very quickly about these two corners that we just reviewed. Can you overtake, or is it a good idea to try to make an overtaking position in these corners?
This one, no. This one, yes. But
Okay.
it's very hard. Like, you have to be side by side. If you are not side by side, don't send it because it's impossible. Like, the best overtaking spot in this track is probably turn 1, but you have to be side by side again, so it's hard. Turn 2 is the only corner that you can send a little bit, but you just need to be maximum 1/10 behind the car in front because it's not a long braking zone. So this one I think is the best one, and also turn 4. No, 5, I don't know. This corner it's also a good overtaking spot because the track here is very large, very wide,
Right.
and you have you can go on the inside there, and it's a good overtaking spot. And if the car in front of you is covering the inside, you can prepare the exit and maybe overtake him on the next straight. So I think probably this one is the best overtaking phase. Corner for the overtakes.
And because it's a GT4 car and they're momentum based, if you have that optimum line, the outside line, you can carry the most amount of speed and set yourself up to get one done at the next corner. That makes a lot of sense because it's not like GT3 racing where you're just going to be able to overtake someone very easily. These are corners where you're going to have to wait one corner, two corners even, to have something set up from turns ahead. As we saw on the rookies yesterday, people were setting things up 2-3 turns up ahead. You know, Watkins Glen, right? You set it up at turn 1 to get an opportunity at the bus stop chicane. There's no way you're just going to pass someone at the bus stop chicane. You can't send it up the inside and survive. And this is a very similar situation.
And yeah, it's always better to take the inside in this corner if you can, but if you can't, just try to prepare the exit for the overtake on the next straight. And if you are covering the inside or trying an overtake on the inside, an advice is try to like park your car on the inside so slow down a lot for try to. It's like doing a block pass. So you want to stay tighter for all the time. So the guy who's preparing the exit, it will be blocked by your car. So if you always cover the inside very tight, uh, you have more chance to cover the switchback about the other driver.
Got it.
So yeah, the
Don't give
advice
him the
is
switchback.
yeah, try to take the inside if you can, but if you can't, try to prepare the exit.
That completely makes sense. Thank you very much for answering that question very thoroughly, Amedeo. You gave us a lot of insight on where these best overtaking spots are going to be on this track.
Yeah, thank you. And so we go to the next corner. Again, a very tough corner because you can't brake straight, basically. The reference is a bit more clear here. Is the white board on the right. Just 10 meters before it, 5 meters, you brake. About 80-90% there. And you start to turn in basically at the white marker because you brake and you turn in, yeah, in the same moment. And you can cut a lot on the inside because GT4 are very high and very soft, so you can take easily the curb. As you can see, I'm cutting a lot. The track limits is if you are with 4 tires over this small black line. And for going on throttle, the reference is when you are over this curve, you can start to go on throttle. And the exit, you can go a bit on the grass as I made in that lap. You are not losing time, so don't worry about that. It's all fourth gear again.
Highest gear possible.
Yeah. Try to downshift again because it will unsettle the car also because the speed is very fast. So it's very easy to unsettle your car there if you are downshifting. And yeah, just turn in very soon. Stay tighter as possible again. Going off throttle over the curb, and you can use also all the track on the exit and touch a bit the grass. For the next corner, also just when you are away from the grass, if you touch it, go as much as you can on the right as soon as possible so you can brake straighter as possible for that corner. The brake reference is the whiteboard on the right of the car, of the truck here.
Okay.
You can brake very hard there. As you can see, I'm still braking 100%. And for turning in, it's just 5 meters later the whiteboard is start turning in. You want to stay also very tight again on the inside curb. You stay tighter as possible without touching the grass because it will unsettle the car. And you go on throttle when you, if you have like a similar setting to me, basically when you can see the orange thing on the left of your roll bar, you can take that reference, or also you can take when you are over these, when the curve became bigger, basically, you can go on throttle. That's a good reference. I think maybe it's better.
Amedeo, this doesn't
And
look like a
yeah,
typical corner where you're riding the brakes as much as you can to get the car to rotate. Why is that different than most corners at Brands Hatch?
can you say it again? Sorry.
It looks like you're not riding the brakes towards the apex as much as some of the other corners here at Brands Hatch. Why is that?
Yeah. Basically because I mean you are still braking until there, so you are trail braking still a lot.
Okay.
But yeah, because depends how long the corner is. Because longer the corner is, for more time you will trail braking because you need a lot of time for rotate the car there. The corner is very short and also you brake very soon because you are braking very sooner compared to where the corner is because you are braking there, the corner is very far. So you slow down a lot soon for preparing the exit. So you slow down very soon for going off throttle very soon there. So
Okay.
that's why it seems you are not braking a lot into the corner.
Thank you.
Also because it's a very small corner, because it's not an hairpin, it's not a long corner, it's a very short corner and not that slow, so you don't trail braking too much as other corner.
Yes, sir.
And for the exit, again, you use all the track. Even if you touch a bit the grass, is not the end of the world here. But the perfect line is like that. Use all the curb without touching the grass. And especially don't touch the grass after the end of this small curb, because you will have a jump again, as we saw in the corner before the straight. Then we go to the last corner, where the brick reference is this bird, this meter bird, the white one again. This one is a bit more precise because you want us to break 10 meters before it. Use all the track on the left again, and start to turn in basically when the grass ends on your left. So when this asphalt thing starts, you start to turn in very slightly, and then on the last moment you can turn in a bit more aggressively. And there you want to release the brake before these cones, because also now the track is going uphill, then it's downhill, so you want to stabilize the car as much as possible, so you don't want to brake, because you will have more oversteer when you are braking, but the car is more on the limit, so if the conditions are tough, it's better to don't brake too much into the corner.
Okay.
So at these cones, you start to go on throttle, and as you can see, also you are not braking anymore, of course. And you want to stay very tight, because when the track will start to go downhill, you will have a lot of understeer, like turn one. So you stay tighter as possible on the inside curb there. For that reason, because then I will go very wide. And if you go wide into the grass, it's a big problem, because you will have high chance to spin your car there. So make sure to stay very on the inside here for that reason, basically.
And the track is really falling away from you as well. So does that contribute additionally to the understeer that you're getting? You get more understeer because the track is going away from you?
Yeah, exactly. That's another thing. So that's why you want to stay very tight. Because the downhill, and because the track is going away from you. So again, it's like turn one. You want to, I mean, the most of the corner here, you want to aim the apex very soon.
Yeah.
And don't touch the curb there, because it will unsettle the car. So just try to stay tighter as possible without touching it. And again, it's fourth gear. You want to stay very high gear again.
And is
And
that the high gear? Someone's asking a question in chat as well. They're saying that I think I downshift one too many for this corner. Again, that's because of the electronics. That's because of the instability with TC, and also because of the rear diff locking up, right? And
yeah,
there's
especially because of the rear diff is locking up.
so there's a couple of different things that are all coming together. It's the elevation change, the rear diff, the electronics that are all upsetting the car in this corner that are really going against you. So again, another momentum corner, slow in, fast out. You really want to carry as much speed as you can through this corner without going over those curbs and without obviously going towards the gravel. Easier said than done. Of course, that's what everybody wants to do, is slow in, fast out, and get to the right part of the track. And someone else asked a question in chat. If we have a wet race, are you still using some of the grass on these blind corners?
Absolutely no. If it's wet, you completely don't have grip on the grass, so don't go over it on the exit of the corner.
Got it.
Because yeah, maybe you don't lose much, but I'm talking about esport level. For sure, for rookies, not recommended to do a line over the grass in a wet track. So yeah, if it's wet, like avoid the curb and avoid the grass.
And hopefully in the rookies, it should stay dry regardless. In the open category, you might get some wet weather conditions or some trickier conditions, but at least for the rookies, it should stay pretty dry and consistent for all the drivers. That'll be one of the beneficial things.
And in general, an advice for wet that you can apply in every track is be smooth, very smooth on your braking. Don't be aggressive. Releasing the brake very slowly. It's basically just driving more smooth on wet. Don't overdrive absolutely, but be very easy on the car, and it will pay off also on the lap time.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for letting us know that. This is the last corner of the track. Do you want to walk us through an entire hot lap now?
Yeah, exactly. I will show you a completely hot lap now. Yeah, so we start the lap, of course, on the straight line. That is not much straight here. You brake for the second white meter board here. Aim to the apex very soon, because on the downhill you will have a lot of understeer. There you brake a bit before the white meter board. Stay in third gear, very high gear. Stay very tight for all the corner. Then use all the track on the exit. Here you want to brake very smooth, going on throttle before the orange cones. Use all the track on the exit, also the fake grass, I call it. Here stay very on the right, then close very late your line. Don't go on throttle too soon, because if you go too wide here you will lose a lot of time on the exit. Then we have another nice lovely straight. Here we brake after the white meter board in the middle of the two. Stay very tight again, going on throttle soon. You can use also the grass if you want. Here you stay tight as possible on the inside. Use all the track on the outside. Stay all the time on 4 gear for these corners. Here you can cut also a lot on the inside. You can use also a bit of the grass on the outside if you need. Braking at the white meter board here. Try to don't go on the grass here on the exit, because you will lose a bit of time, so use only all the curb. Brake at the white meter board again, stay very tight to the inside cone without touching it. And yeah, that's a lap about Brands Hatch with the BMW GT4.
Fantastic, Amedeo. Thank you so much for walking us through that. If anybody has any questions, please go ahead and post them in chat. But I think that answered just about everything. Where are those good overtaking opportunities? Can you show us that one more time, Amedeo?
Absolutely. The best overtaking spot is for me this corner, because you can send it on the inside, but by not too far. And then the best one for me is this corner, because it's very wide corner, so you can play a bit on or going on the inside, or try to prepare the exit by the outside for overtaking on the straight, because here you can overtake only if you are side by side basically, and you need to stay on the inside, because on the outside is almost impossible. And there are no other overtaking spot unless people are doing mistake. Also, turn one could be a overtaking spot, but again you have to be side by side. And the thing is, on the inside you can overtake, on the outside you can prepare the overtake for turn 2. So just make your choice. Just do the opposite of the car in front. So if the car in front is on the outside, try to overtake on the inside. If he's on the inside, don't try and overtake on the outside, because it's impossible here. Just try to prepare the exit for overtaking in turn 2.
Sounds great. Thank you very much for those bits of advice. Now, I think we want to talk about the don'ts of Brands Hatch just very briefly. Where do you not want to make overtaking possible here at Brands Hatch? What are the riskiest places to try to make an overtake?
On the outside here, of course, because you will probably go on the gravel. And then here is almost impossible, because it's not wide enough, so there is no space for 2 cars. And there, the most dangerous corners are this, because these corners are faster, so it's even more dangerous. This one is literally the most dangerous corner going side by side in this one, so don't do it. And this one, maybe you can overtake if someone made a mistake. In this corner, you can overtake in the next one, but you have to be side by side or no chance. And same for last corner, only if you are side by side or no chance again.
Sounds great. Thank you. Someone asked, they just showed up a little bit late. How much curb do you suggest we take at Dingle Dell and Sheene's? I think the answer is as much as you can humanly possibly take, right, Amedeo?
I think is these two corners, right?
Yes, the two
Because I
fast
don't know
right-handers.
Yeah, you want to take as much as possible, basically. I'm
And
showing you again, but yeah.
keeping two wheels on the inside curb, then, is that the limit?
Yeah, basically the left tires need to stay on the curb here, and it's not track limits. I mean, it needs to stay on the outside of this this small line that it's tough to see, but is basically on the middle of the curb. You have a small darker line, and
Okay.
you need to stay on the outside with the left tires. And in the corner before, basically, if I'm not wrong, you just need to stay, yeah. The left tires need to touch the curb in this corner, and the lap is valid. And on
Perfect.
the outside is again, this time is the right tires need to touch the curb and the lap is valid. But I mean, the limit is the gravel here, because if you go more on the left, you also lose time.
Like you said, as long as you stay on the fake asphalt, you're doing okay.
Exactly.
Perfect. I don't see any other questions in chat for us, and unless anybody's got anything else, I think this is going to wrap it up for us, Amedeo. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you very much for your very thorough explanation. I know this was just a 90-second track. We were able to get through it in just about an hour's amount of time. Do you have any other advice or suggestions that you want to give some of the drivers tonight?
Yeah, maybe at the start, try to don't overshoot turn one, because it's very easy to go wide here and have a big contact with the car on the outside. And anyway, the best thing is try to stay on the inside, because on the outside you will have a lot of understeer on the start. So try to stay on the inside, and same thing here. You can work also on the outside if you are in a position in the middle of the group, because probably they will have like a bottleneck in the inside here, because if everyone are in the inside, they will have to slow down a lot. So maybe you can send it on the outside in turn 2 if it's clear. But yeah, the best position is always the inside, I suggest.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for those additional points of contact for everybody to be aware of during their race. I think it'll pay dividends for everybody that's paying attention here tonight and everybody that's watching this in the future on YouTube as well. Thank you so much, Amedeo Castorino, for all of your time. Grazie mille. I believe that's
Thank you, guys.
I believe that's how you say it in Italian. I told you I was
Yeah.
going to get some in.
Yeah, it's about 8 of 10, I will say, that your pronunciation, so good.
Thank you very much. I'll keep on practicing to get that 9 out of 10 out of you by next week's time. If there are no more questions, thank you everybody, and have a wonderful evening here at Tracklicious. Bye bye, and stay safe.